Oh, hey, David, when are you coming back again?
Monday.
See David Monday again.
Monday.
Yeah,
1 o'clock.
11 o'clock. Come back and see.
Oh, 11 o'clock. Yeah, 11.
Yeah.
The other one.
Hey, AJ, could you give Sparrow a little more tune?
Sure. Give me what's your number?
Tune.
Yeah, something's not.
Let me keep checking.
Yeah, it's very good. AJ, I want to thank you so much for inviting me to do this.
Oh, my pleasure.
I haven't written poetry in, it's been a rough number of years. And so these poems are possibly from back when I was coming to AJ's every Wednesday. And
that's wonderful.
For the open mic, and Sonny and I would come together. And so I really, really appreciate it.
That's wonderful.
And Steve, too, play. And how do you follow and act like Davis? For God's sake.
Wow. Fantastic.
Okay. What's that?
You look a stand. Put your stuff on her. There you go. Because I can get your stand.
Whatever is good. Whatever.
We can get it. We'll get it. Oh, you got it? Okay.
Yeah, this is breathing some life back into it. AJ's Café was, well, it's not a past tense. I mean, to so many of us, it was such lifeblood. I would leave AJ's on a Wednesday night from open mic and already be thinking about the next Wednesday.
Yeah. Quite a home.
I've got a few different sets that to me they're like little casseroles in a way, and we'll see how many we get through. And so this works, huh? To have a guitar player with the spoken word.
I think it works fine.
Oh yeah, and nobody could figure it out. I took it to 2 different gas stations. They tightened the heater hoses, and still that green antifreeze liquid leaked out and left puddles under my car. And nobody could understand how come it's leaking way back there. I was worn out with worry and feeling dejected when a guy walked by while I was crouched down and peering under its belly. He asked me what's wrong, and I told him, and he said, "Hey, by any chance, you've got a container of antifreeze tipped over on the floor in your back seat, do you?" I don't know how old I was when my parents bought the farm. It was 4 miles from town, and for the first number of years we spent our summers there. Not farming the property, but definitely enjoying the lake and 80 acres of spread out adventure. Us kids, we all slept in the barn, because the farmhouse was so small, and that, of course, added to the pioneering feeling. And what made me think of the farm this morning, I was actually thinking of the rock piles. The rock piles that were situated in various places where farmers before us had dug up and carried and hauled out those rocks to clear the land, to plant crops, such as alfalfa, which was still easily growing on its own. It feels as though that's what's been happening lately, with seemingly so much upheaval going on, of traditional systems kind of rocking back on their heels and feeling like so much wreckage and destruction. But to me, the land's being cleared. It's being ready for plowing, for turning the soil, for planting new selections of what we want to grow. I had a favorite rock pile at the farm. It was situated on a hill, and when you climbed up on it and sat there, you could see for miles. Now this was probably written, I don't know how long ago, but to read that part about traditional systems kind of rocking back on their heels, that certainly is what's going on. Location, when actually it is relocation. We are presently in the process of relocating ourselves. We are moving away from foundation of fear to the clear remembering of our inherent value as humans. In other words, we are going home. We are moving back home. We're returning to the home sweet home base place inside of us, that place of peaceful confidence from which to shine our little asses off, since ain't that what we're here to do, is shine our little asses off, each and every one of us. So location, 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 when actually it is all about relocation. Welcome home.
Yeah.
Boy, Davis knows this, shining your little ass off. Yes. That baby, he's sucking on a binky. He wetting his pants, he holler when he hungry, can't walk, can't talk yet, but oh baby, is that baby, he wise. You could see it in his eyes. So that baby, oh, he sucking on his binky, all right. He wetting his pants, he holler when he hungry, can't walk, can't talk yet, but wise? Oh baby, is that baby, he wise. I love this part. Each person is brilliant beyond measure. Each person is brilliant beyond compare. And each person has their own home base from which to function. Each person has their own inner cruise control. Each person has their own special buzz, and when they is occupying that place, that space, they come into alignment with their own natural confidence, and life becomes what you call joy. And joy, as we all know, joy has a very long attention span. Drive the spout home through your bark to your heart where the sweet sap is endless. My dad, he tapped the maple trees out front, hung buckets on them, and collected the fluid. I say, drive the spout home through your bark to your heart where the sweet sap is endless.
Good.
Riding down the expressway with Ben that day, him looking out the car window and commenting in 5-year-old terms about car accidents. All the people who die in them, car accidents. A lot of people die in car accidents every day, even happens all the time. That's true, says I. And it's also true that every day a lot of people are born. In fact, every time you blink your eyes, a baby's being born somewhere. Ben started laughing, and of course blinking his eyes like crazy. Laughing and blinking. I'll never forget that day driving down the expressway in my old VW with Ben. She said her sociology teacher says that people are inherently lazy. Oh, yeah, I said, I ain't never seen a lazy baby. Why ain't nobody trotting out the human being as a natural wonder? I mean, how come we aren't on a regular basis blown away by the sheer magnificence of how each and every one of us was constructed? I mean, why is it so much else gets lauded and applauded as masterpiece artwork, and this globe has got awesome renditions crawling all over its skin in the form of people, glorious people? How can we not look in the eyes of each other and know we are related by common, mysterious, unmistakable bond of brilliance? Why aren't we regularly involved in celebrating our natural heritage as cosmic offspring with wonders to perform, such as eating and drinking and shitting and showing our amazing capability for love? You tell me you are only human, I tell you, what more could you ask for?
Yes. Right.
What if, in the beginning, at the beginning of each child's life, we determined it is impossible to compare that child with anybody else? What if we all simply stood up and moved down a little, then sat back down on the bench, leaving that child a space to sit down on? What if that's how we accommodated each new being on this earth? We simply grant them their own custom-made spaces, though saying in effect, here, this is yours. We was each born into the full-time, all-the-time job of being a professional person. Okay, that's my first little casserole. And thank you, Steve.
Excellent.
Awesome.
As much as that dog was a garbage hound, she didn't eat lettuce. You could toss her part of a sandwich with lettuce in it. She'd snap that tidbit up out of the air and proceed to rapidly chew. But before you knew it, the lettuce would fall out of her mouth with not a tooth hole in it. Kind of like how I used to be about compliments. Because somebody'd be talking to me and they'd toss a compliment my way, but I simply could not digest it. I'd chew on whatever else they were saying, but the compliment would fall out intact with not a tooth hole in it. People, they telling me it's just human nature. It's just human nature to be greedy or selfish or mean or punishing. I say, that ain't human nature. It's scared human nature. It's conditioned, nervous human nature. It's conditioned human nature with the nature taken out of it. It's not human nature to be greedy or selfish or mean or punishing. That's denatured human nature. It ain't the real thing. It's synthetic, artificial. It ain't the genuine article. It is not happy. We have a hearth fire inside us, our own personal source of warmth and homey comfort. So when we settle there, relaxed in the glow, we radiate outward and everybody's glow joins forces into one grand presence of illuminated well-being. It is no small contribution, therefore, to keep your own hearth fire stoked. I hear you give lessons on that, Davis. You can leave on the light in your interior without worrying about running down the battery. I was out walking with my dog Sunny, and I think it was Webster, the street where this house, it had 4 different signs tacked up on and around the front door. We stopping so I could copy them down and remember. 1, war is not the answer. 2, friends for peace. 3, protected by brinks. 4, is there life after death? Trespass here and find out. And she's thanking me. I slip a rolled up $20 bill into the old lady's homeless hand, and she's thanking me. Hey, honey, how do you think I feel? And so I up and I tell her, hey, thank you. All the times you smiled when I've walked past, the loving things you've said to me, and you're thanking me for a measly $20 bill? Hey, thank you, I said to her. Thank you. I said, staring direct into those bottomless blue eyes of hers, I say, honey, thank the heck you. Each person is brilliant beyond measure. Each person is brilliant beyond compare. Passion is when we express ourselves wholeheartedly. We were designed to function with passion. And if we don't give our passion a way to communicate, doing something we love, doing something we're interested in, our passion, it'll be forced to show up elsewhere. We might complain passionately. We might worry passionately. We might self-destruct passionately. We might even be passionately bored, passionately disgusted, passionately fed up. Because see, our passion, it is passionate. So if we don't give it an agenda, it's going to make one up. What is your calling? What is it that's calling you? Me, as a kid in the old days up north and growing up, It was a common thing to hear somebody's name being called out from front porch or backyard. Usually time to quit playing, go home, eat supper, do chores, go to bed, whatever. What is your calling? What's calling you? What wish, what dream has got your name on it? And when you stop all the rush and follow that sound, the sound of your name it being called out, what specifically is it that's calling you? What piece of business is waiting for you to say, honey, I'm home, I'm here, I am ready? I say, what is your calling? What is your calling? Do I believe in the inherent integrity of the human organism? Oh, you betcha. Without reservation. I have seen how humans behave when they are happy, when they is tooling along as to how they was designed to. With pleasure, with ease, with busy productivity. Not bothering to mess with each other because they is too absorbed. As though playing music. Each person is a live performance. Number 2 casserole.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. See, he can't get around because of bad circulation. His leg is all swole up and he can't walk much, so how he gets rid of pent-up emotion since he can't exercise? He yells at us. He works himself into a cleansing anger that forces him to sit forward in his chair and even pound his desk, and when he's done, his complexion is rosier. His eyes got a shine, and he of course doesn't apologize since that would take away the essence of a genuine outlet. But like I say, when he's done, the air is obviously cleared, and he smiles, and I walk out the door of his office knowing that I have contributed to his health. Remember the time the wind blew the door closed and I was locked out, and we went to your house and got that old rickety ladder and we brought it back, and I climbed up and crawled onto the roof and then kind of pushed myself at and into the bedroom window, and the whole time you kept saying, you can do it. And he was just hacking away at the bush with them big old long-handled shears, ka-whack, ka-whack. He'd kind of pause a little bit between whacks as though quickly assessing what to chop off next, and for some reason I identified with the bush, like dang and yow. All I really wanted was a trim. Geez, mister. True story. They refer to us as babies when we arrive here on planet Earth. And though we are a bit wobbly, got a few things to learn, but fact is, us humans, we've got knowledge from the get. For instance, we know we are important. We know we got nothing to prove. We know that we deserve to enjoy our stay here. I say they refer to us as babies when we arrive here on planet Earth, but there's a whole lot we already know. It's simple, because we each is brilliant, and we each got dignity, and when we're not treated with respect, we feel insulted, we get defensive, and our life becomes a reaction. Teach them the basics, all right. The basics of, honey, you each got gifts, and your gifts is what you got to give as gifts. We is all in the mess. One of my favorite stories about a kid when I was teaching, there was Judy in the art area, per usual, cutting and gluing, and in one way or another manufacturing dreams. One day she made a ticket booth out of cardboard boxes and other stuff. It had the usual design. She made it, of course, her size. She also made some tickets. Her blonde, curly head, mostly what I focused on when she stood behind her ticket window with her tickets. She looked out at her fellow classmates as they walked by. Judy's voice sang out, kind of drifting and slow. She kept saying, "Tickets to anywhere. Tickets to anywhere." Each person is brilliant beyond measure. Each person is brilliant beyond compare. A leaf is forming. After centuries of wonderful root systems woven beneath the earth and of fibrous stems extending up through the earth in order to speak to the sky, a leaf is forming. A large, luscious green of a leaf still yet curled, the tip of it only beginning to unloosen, but it is already obvious that this leaf, it is large, and it is luscious, and it is the fresh green, the new green that heralds things, that announces things, as it were, that begins the beginning of things. A leaf is forming, of that you can be sure. A leaf? Oh, heavens, yes. And we have been pioneers, crossing the inner frontier of fear on our way to the promised land, which, come to find out, is located in our own ever-loving hearts. Okay? Okay. And so it seemed he had driven across the country for nothing. This is how it worked out. And so it seemed he had driven across the country for nothing. Side by side, two identical circles. I'm now going to turn this knob on the side. You will see the two circles approach each other. Closer. Closer with each turn, click of the knob. The circles are now touching edge to edge. One more click and they merge, overlapping as though links on a chain. Please tell me when they are exactly one on top of the other, perfectly aligned, so to speak, appearing as one circle instead of two. That's the feeling. What's the natural tendency of the natural tendency? When you're relaxed and not afraid, how does you feel? What's the natural tendency of the natural tendency? When you was tooling along and hitting on all cylinders, how does you function? What's the natural tendency of the natural tendency? Your heart has and you is following. When you don't invite self-doubt to the party, when you lift the anchor, go with the flow, I say, what's the natural tendency of the natural tendency? This is the time we've been waiting for. Without knowing we've been waiting for this time, because it took so darn long. We forgot we was waiting, got caught up in other things till they seemed to be what we was living for, but this is the time, all right. We've been waiting for this time without knowing we've been waiting for this time because it took so darn long. It took centuries, in fact. So we forgot we was waiting. But now it is time to remember. You better believe it is time to remember, because this is the time we've been waiting so long for. You guys are heroes, I yelled to the guy over the roar and clatter of the garbage truck. I'm proceeding to walk on past him. I hear his partner ask him, "What'd she say?" She said, "We were heroes." Each person is brilliant beyond measure. Each person is brilliant beyond compare. Bennett and Richard, they had convinced themselves they were superheroes. They had convinced themselves that if they stuck a fork, they had convinced themselves they were invincible. They had convinced themselves if they stuck a fork into the light socket and held hands, nothing could hurt them. I was rounding the bend just as they crouched and were ready, and I snatched their little booties to the side. They were, of course, angry at me for interrupting their experiment. What got you to the age of 1 year if it wasn't your tireless appetite to learn and become self-sufficient? What got you to the age of 1 year if it wasn't your organic desire for self-mastery? What got you to the age of 1 year if it wasn't your natural curiosity, your sense for adventure, your willingness to take risks, your undaunted courage, your intelligent deduction? There ain't no such thing as mistake. What got you to the age of 1 year? When Chad was small, he used to pack himself tightly against me, sitting side by side on a couch or in a chair. I would read to him by the hour. I remember the day I said, "This is it. Last book. My throat hurts." And he said, "I'll get you a glass of water." Okay. 2 casseroles to go.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Beautiful.
AJ, this is fun.
Wow, this is great. Memories. Come back.
Memories, yeah. What, Noel?
Fantastic.
It's fun. Steve, thank you so much.
Coffee.
She told me she had to return it because it had bugs in it. I said, "It has bugs in it?" She said, "Well, it was more like a worm." "A worm?" I said. She said, "Well, it was something that was moving, and could she return it? Because I guess if she wanted a pet, she wouldn't have come to a health food store to buy it." Dusk has come. We have played long and hard at our imaginary game, centuries in fact. But now dusk has come. Our home awaits us. Yes, dusk has come. The deepening of the evening into night, our play must draw to a close as we disperse from the structure of our game and head toward the light of no more pretending. Yes, dusk has come. When we as small children must return to what we know is true in our heart of hearts, the wisdom we were born with, we must reclaim our true identity, because dusk has come. You know how it is. You take off the training wheels and something else holds you up. Heating up the tea water first time today and it leaving condensation all over the window. Or rather all over the window, as this man used to say when I was little. And some of his words, he used to say them different than me. And for instance, when he'd say window, it always feel like some kind of one of those xylophones or something you'd hit with soft mallet to make a resonating tone. He'd say the word, and because I didn't hear it often, it'd have a different ring to it. No, it was like biting into a raisin, moist and rich it was when that would happen. Yeah, like I say, I just heated up tea water for the first time today, and it left condensation all over the window. They tell me I got to get out of the city if I want to see nature. I say, geez, man, there's more nature here than you can shake a stick at. Just check out all those people's faces. Look into their eyes. You telling me that ain't nature? Each moment is loaded, straight from the factory, with all the options as standard features. Growing up, my dad used to take a trip to the dump every couple of weeks, the city's small town dump. A huge pit, ravine, gouge and country landscape, merely throw the bags overboard. I remember the time he paused for a snack after the chore, munching a banana. He finished, threw the car keys into the pit, and walked back to the car with the banana peel. She said the people in the hospital, they think her mom's disoriented because when they asked her where she is, she said, "I'm here." No need to wait, keep flipping through old magazines, waiting for your name to be called when, hey, you know your name. How about flipping that magazine to the side, standing up and calling out your own name? No appointment necessary. We are born into an enormous circus tent where a vast mass folk dance is taking place. And as babies, we do research. We study the dancers. We study the dance steps. And even though it is very, very confusing, we join in, doing dance steps of bad guy, good guy. Dance steps of got to measure up. Dance steps of you are what you own. And we become loyal to the folk dance. It's been a precious tradition. We've all done our best at it. I say, what are we going to do our best at next? What got you to the age of 1 year if it wasn't your tireless appetite to learn and become self-sufficient? What got you to the age of 1 year if it wasn't your organic desire for self-mastery? What got you to the age of 1 year if it wasn't your natural curiosity, your sense for adventure, your willingness to take risks, your undaunted courage, your intelligent deduction, there ain't no such thing as mistake? What got you to the age of 1 year? Us looking for treasure, and meanwhile the treasure is us. We looking and we looking. We looking when one fine day we stop to scratch our head and it dawns on us it's right below our fingertips and has been all along. We not coming into a plot already in progress, gotta memorize the already existing script. This here is a jam session. It takes courage to act like a baby. Leave the porch light of your heart on. Each person is brilliant beyond measure. Each person is brilliant beyond compare. Okay, that's 5. Woo! Then I have a few little, if there was time, I just brought along a couple of extras.
Great.
When I was a kid and seeing a grown-up with one of them wet bubbles hanging off of the end of their nose and looking at it and thinking about, geez, man, how did that get there? And how come she doesn't brush it off? The other day I realized that somehow one of them wet, drippy drops of moisture was hanging off the end of my nose. Because I was busy, I didn't wipe it off until later. You old fool. Everybody an expert at what they think they is. You think you an average goofball with no talents to speak of? Then you're going to put on a prize-winning performance of precisely that. You'll be a star as a prize-winning goofball. Because you is a genius, same as everybody else is. And you will excel at what you put your mind to. And you will think your actions are proof that you actually are a prize-winning goofball. But you just acting like one. Because that's what you think you is. What you think you is. Told she was average, she acted the part with much creative genius. He said he liked my hat, but he told me not to wear it off. My hair would fall out because that's what happened to him. And even though he'll never know if his hair would have fallen out anyway, I simply said, okay. And he walked away muttering something about bald women. I asked him how to add to my prosperity. He said, be grateful for what you have. But how do I add to my prosperity? I asked him again, a little out of joint at his answer. And he answered back, how do you add to your prosperity? Be grateful for what you have. That's how. And I'm not asking you what you think. I'm asking you what you know. Because oftentimes what you know, it don't got nothing to do with thinking. Success is when you got no reason not to be one. Each of us was born with a backstage pass. Own it. Whatever the it is that makes you peculiarly and wonderfully you, just own it. So your you is made visible. Put it out there. This is who I am, and I'm digging it. And that'll do it. This was fun. Thank you so much, JJ. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sparrow.
Resuscitating.
Fantastic.
Sparrow, everybody.
I don't know when.
Ladies and gentlemen, our poet laureate, the great one and only Sparrow. Yeah, welcome home. Steve's going to finish up the hour with some great music.
Okay. Just think something about you on the phone. I think. Okay, we got a few minutes left in this hour, so I'm going to entertain you with such mediocrity that you will be amazed. Because that's what I excel at, is mediocrity. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's see here. Let me plug in while we're here. Oh, my little jam box. Are we even anywhere near in tune? I hope so. That's the only thing I got going for me is a whammy. Best whammy in town. I put my whammy up against anybody else's whammy.
I wondered who that wonderful guitar belonged to.
It belonged to lots and lots of people way back all over the years. I'll tell you a story while I'm tuning. I always like guitars, like them a lot. AJ, can you turn this down a little bit? Oh, never mind, I'll do it. Or you got it? Yep. It's just too hot. I don't want to hear myself that much. It's not that entertaining for me. So, I used to be a design engineer with Cadillac,